और ये सीधा आपको इस वक्त हम संसद दिए चल रहे हैं, जहां पर राष्ट्रपति प्रणब मुखर्जी इस वक्त पहुंच चुके हैं। आपको बता दें कि आज विदाई समारोह है संसद के सेंट्रल हॉल में राष्ट्रपति प्रणब मुखर्जी का, और उसी की सीधी तस्वीर इस वक्त आप देख पा रहे हैं अपने टेलीविजन स्क्रीन पर। प्रधानमंत्री मोदी साथ में हैं, अनंत कुमार ने वेलकम किया प्रधानमंत्री मोदी ने, उपराष्ट्रपति हामिद अंसारी साथ में हैं, और इस वक्त अंदर संसद के सेंट्रल हॉल की ओर बढ़ते हुए राष्ट्रपति प्रणब मुखर्जी, आज विदाई समारोह है राष्ट्रपति प्रणब मुखर्जी का सेंट्रल हॉल में। इससे पहले आपको बता दें कि कल शाम को प्रधानमंत्री मोदी ने रात्रि भोज आयोजित किया था हैदराबाद हाउस में, और आज संसद भवन के सेंट्रल हॉल में राष्ट्रपति प्रणब मुखर्जी का विदाई समारोह होगा। 25 जुलाई को कार्यकाल पूरा हो रहा है बतौर राष्ट्रपति प्रणब मुखर्जी का, और इसीलिए आज ये विदाई समारोह आयोजित किया गया है, जिसमें प्रधानमंत्री मोदी समेत सभी केंद्रीय मंत्री और सांसद प्रणब मुखर्जी को विदाई देंगे। ये इस वक्त सीधी तस्वीरें आप देख पा रहे हैं, संसद की ये तस्वीर है। देश के 13वें राष्ट्रपति हैं प्रणब मुखर्जी।
प्रधानमंत्री नरेंद्र मोदी, लोकसभा अध्यक्ष सुमित्रा महाजन, उपराष्ट्रपति हामिद अंसारी, संसदीय कार्य मंत्री अनंत कुमार और संसद का केंद्रीय कक्ष इसी क्षण का इंतजार कर रहा है। जैसा इस कार्यक्रम में गौतम लहरी साहब ने बताया कि लोकतंत्र का पर्व भी है कि किस तरीके से एक ऐसा राजनेता जिसने अपने जीवन के इतने लंबे समय तक 48 साल तक भारतीय राजनीति में अपना अहम योगदान दिया, नीतियों के निर्माण में अपनी एक अहम भूमिका बनाई थी और एक संरक्षक के तौर पर भी अपनी भूमिका निभाई, उनका राष्ट्रपति के तौर पर ये विदाई समारोह उन सांसदों के लिए भी खास है जो इस कार्यक्रम में शिरकत कर रहे हैं, बेसब्री से इंतजार कर रहे हैं प्रणब मुखर्जी को सुनने के लिए।
तो संसद भवन परिसर के केंद्रीय कक्ष में जाते हुए लोकसभा अध्यक्ष, उपराष्ट्रपति, राष्ट्रपति प्रणब मुखर्जी, प्रधानमंत्री नरेंद्र मोदी, सीधी तस्वीरें आप देख रहे हैं, और इस पल के साक्षी बनेंगे आप और हम, और साथ ही साथ पूरा देश, जब राष्ट्रपति प्रणब मुखर्जी को हम सभी मिलकर विदाई दे रहे हैं।
माननीय उपराष्ट्रपति एवं सभापति राज्यसभा से अनुरोध है कि वे माननीय राष्ट्रपति का माला पहनाकर स्वागत करें। माननीय लोकसभा अध्यक्ष से अनुरोध है कि वह माननीय राष्ट्रपति को पुष्पगुच्छ भेंट करें। माननीय लोकसभा अध्यक्ष से अनुरोध है कि वह माननीय राष्ट्रपति के सम्मान में विदाई भाषण प्रस्तुत करें।
माननीय राष्ट्रपति जी, माननीय उपराष्ट्रपति जी, माननीय प्रधानमंत्री जी, सभी मंत्रीगण, संसद के दोनों सदनों के हमारे साथी, आप सबके माननीय राष्ट्रपति जी के प्रति हम सबकी भावों की अभिव्यक्ति करने वाला एक सम्मान पत्र मैं पढ़ना चाहूंगी। आदरणीय राष्ट्रपति श्री प्रणब मुखर्जी, we the parliamentarians have assembled here today to bid you a fond farewell on the eve of your dimitting the august office of the President of the Republic of India, which you have adorned the last 5 years with great distinction and dignity. This is indeed a solemn occasion for each one of us to express our profound respect and regards to you. Honorable President, your life's journey from the humble village of Mirati in West Bengal to Rashtrapati Bhavan is indeed an eventful one, entwined with contemporary history of our nation and an inspiration to all. Beginning professional career as a college teacher, then journalist, and subsequently dedicating the longest period of your life to national politics, culminating in being elected as the President, you have always strived for excellence and selfless service. Your achievements as a political leader, parliamentarian, administrator, author, and visionary thinker are a grand testimony of your multifaceted personality. Mahoday, ever since you first entered the Parliament in 1969, you have enriched and strengthened our parliamentary democracy with varied expertise, vast contribution, and great wisdom. You have always held the institution of Parliament and its traditions in the highest regard and upheld the dignity and decorum of both the houses. Sagacious and yet courteous to friends and political opponents alike, you have earned the respect of all with your discerning persuasive skills, intellectual far-sightedness, and unwavering commitment to the basic tenets of parliamentary democracy and political pluralism. You are respected for your impeccable knowledge of constitutional and parliamentary rules and procedures, and exemplary memory of events and precedents. You have been a guru from whom generations of parliamentarians have received lessons on the operational dynamics of our parliamentary politics. You very aptly, the parliamentary fraternity conferred the Outstanding Parliamentarian Award on you for the year 1997. Your admirable administrative acumen and efficiency have played pivotal role in shaping appropriate responses to various momentous events and challenges before the nation at large. As Union Cabinet Minister, holding key portfolios and also occupying crucial decision-making positions, your rich contributions in laying down policies leading to the progress of this nation will be remembered and cherished for times to come. Your astute diplomatic skills have served the nation well, whether as a minister handling the responsibility of External Affairs or serving on the Board of Governance of international and multilateral financial institutions. A grateful nation has conferred the second highest civilian award to you, the Padma Vibhushan, in 2008. You have deservingly received acclaims from the people at home and abroad and earned numerous honors from universities far and wide in recognition of your contributions. With your thoughtfulness and wisdom, you brought dignity and respect to the august office of the President, which gained new prominence as political leaders of all hue and affiliations sought your guidance on crucial matters affecting the nation. Rashtrapati Ji, you have brought presidential focus on the centrality of education for human development and the imperative of research and development to create a knowledge society, and also for raising the quality of higher education and promoting excellence in our country. Your extraordinary contribution also extends to democratizing the Rashtrapati Bhavan through multiple programs, innovative initiatives, and opening its gates to welcome common man from across the country. Besides discharging your constitutional responsibilities with dignity and grace, you have effectively articulated the concerns before the nation. You have stressed the centrality of Parliament in our democratic polity and expressed your concerns about the increasing incidence of disruptions in the legislatures. Your presidency has brought to the fore the most significant responsibility of the highest constitutional office of preserving, protecting and defending the Constitution and the law as affirmed in your oath of office. Sir, our country remains firmly on track as the fastest growing large economy in the world. We assure you that it will be our solemn duty to fulfill the unfinished missions and your vision of a developed India. We are sure that you will continue to guide the footsteps of this nation as an elder statesman and inspire us as you have done all through your illustrious life. In the end, I would like to conclude with the words of Honorable President, which are very significant and relevant. I quote, "We are all equal children before our mother, and India asks each one of us, in whatsoever role we play in the complex drama of nation building, to do our duty with integrity, commitment, and unflinching loyalty to the values enshrined in our Constitution." Unquote. Rashtrapati Ji, we wish you a long and healthy life. We remain, sir, yours respectively, members of Parliament from both the houses, Parliament. Thank you.
सम्माननीय लोकसभा अध्यक्ष से निवेदन है कि वह राष्ट्रपति जी को विदाई भाषण भेंट करें।
ये ऊपर जाएगा ये वाला हिस्सा,
ये ऊपर जाएगा
जी मैम।
सम्माननीय उपराष्ट्रपति एवं सभापति राज्यसभा से अनुरोध है कि वे प्रतिष्ठित अतिथिगण को संबोधित करें।
Respected Rashtrapati Ji, Honorable Prime Minister, Honorable Speaker Lok Sabha, Honorable Ministers, Honorable Members of Parliament, Secretary General Rajya Sabha, Secretary General Lok Sabha, ladies and gentlemen. Rashtrapati Pranab Mukherjee, or Pranab Da as he is affectionately known, has had a long and distinguished career in public life. For the past 5 years, he adorned the highest office in the land, bringing to it great distinction and dignity. His contributions in enriching our national life, parliamentary institutions and political discourse are highly regarded, along with his unshakable belief in the idea of India. In his parliamentary avatar, Shri Mukherjee strove to raise the level of debates and discussions in Parliament by erudite articulation on issues of public importance. His parliamentary performance earned him the Outstanding Parliamentarian Award for the year 1997. He once famously remarked, and I quote, "Democracy should comprise of 3 Ds, debate, dissent and decision, not the 4th D, disruption." End of quote. This assumes much significance in our present troubled times. No tribute to Shri Mukherjee can be complete without a reference to his role in the governance of the country. He held important ministerial charges in government and played a significant role in shaping the policies for progress and inclusive development over the years. In representing India on international fora, he was the consummate diplomat. His expertise in economic and financial matters similarly have been much sought after. He was rated one of the best finance ministers of the world for the year 1984 and was declared Finance Minister of the Year for Asia in 2010. In his long career, he has been an astute administrator and consensus builder in various capacities. In recognition of his valuable services, a grateful nation conferred on him the Padma Vibhushan in the year 2008. Shri Mukherjee combines the qualities of an erudite scholar with those of a seasoned politician. His views and pronouncements on issues of national and international importance have enhanced the stature of the high office held by him. From the highest pedestal he has, on several occasions, urged citizens to rededicate themselves to the cause of upholding the democratic values. He has spoken with conviction about India's pluralism and diversity being her greatest strength, and the need to constantly nurture and protect them. As he put it, and I quote him, "Our traditions has always celebrated the argumentative Indian, not the intolerant Indian. Multiple views, thoughts and philosophies have competed with each other peacefully for centuries in our country." End of quote. In a farewell dinner for governors and lieutenant governors last week, President Mukherjee spoke about the constitutional design by which there cannot be 2 functional executive authorities in a state, and the governor's role therefore is mainly confined to giving advice to chief ministers. He added that in certain situations the governor has no discretion but to accept the verdict of the floor test. He advised the governors to implement diligently their constitutional responsibilities in regard to the scheduled tribe areas in the states. Shri Mukherjee's rich political legacy holds valuable lessons for us and will guide a future generation in public life. Today, as we bid farewell to Rashtrapati Ji, I wish him good health and long life. Jai Hind.
माननीय लोकसभा अध्यक्ष से अनुरोध है कि वे संसद सदस्यों की ओर से माननीय राष्ट्रपति को स्मृति चिन्ह भेंट करें।
जी
माननीय लोकसभा अध्यक्ष से अनुरोध है कि माननीय राष्ट्रपति को संसद सदस्यों द्वारा हस्ताक्षरित पुस्तिका भेंट करें।
All these complete what are there.
really
The signature.
really right. Thank you.
माननीय राष्ट्रपति जी से अनुरोध है कि गणमान्य व्यक्तियों तथा प्रतिष्ठित अतिथिगण को संबोधित करें।
Honorable Vice President, Honorable Speaker, Honorable Prime Minister, distinguished members of the Council of Ministers, leaders of various political parties, I would like to gratefully acknowledge and appreciate for organizing this warm farewell to me. Thank you, Honorable Speaker. Thank you, Honorable Chairman. Thank you, Honorable Members of both the Houses. Honorable Members, if I claim I am the creation of this Parliament, perhaps it will not be treated as immodesty. This Parliament created as an individual my political outlook and persona, which has been shaped by this temple of democracy. Bear with me if I feel nostalgic and indulge myself by going back to the past. On 26 January 1950, the Constitution of India came into effect. In a remarkable display of idealism and courage, we the people of India gave to ourselves a sovereign democratic republic to secure to all its citizens justice, liberty and equality. We undertook to promote amongst all citizens fraternity, assuring the dignity of the individual and ensuring the unity of the nation. These ideals became the lodestar of modern Indian state.
The Indian Constitution, consisting of 395 articles and 12 schedules, is not merely a legal document for the administration, but the Magna Carta of a socio-economic transformation of a vast multitude of people living in India. It represents the hopes and aspirations of 1 billion plus people. 68 years ago, after the first general election, the Indian Parliament began its journey representing the sovereign will of its people. Both the houses were constituted. The first President of the Republic was elected, who addressed the first joint session of the Parliament, and the Indian parliamentary system rolled out. Honorable members, when I first entered the portals of this hallowed institution 48 years ago, I was 34 years old. In July 1969, I came to the Parliament as a member of Rajya Sabha, representing one of the 6 seats from the state of West Bengal. My election to Rajya Sabha took place on 4th July, and the first session I attended was 22nd July 1969. Honorable members, since then, for the last 37 years, I served as a member of Lok Sabha and Rajya Sabha. Of these, I served 5 terms as member of the Rajya Sabha, 4 times being elected from West Bengal and 1 time from Gujarat. And 2 terms in Lok Sabha. My long career has been instructive and educative. I entered Parliament at a time when the Rajya Sabha was full of experienced parliamentarians, leaders of the freedom movement, many of whom were brilliant speakers. M.C. Chagla, Ajit Prasad Jain, Jairam Das Daulatram, Bhupesh Gupta, Joaquim Alva, Mahavir Tyagi, Rajnaran, Dr. Bhai Mahavir, Loknath Mishra, Chitta Basu, and many others. In fact, Bhupesh Gupta was truly a legend in the Rajya Sabha. From 1952 till his death, 1981, he was the member of Rajya Sabha. Dayabhai Patel and Manibhai Patel, Sardar Vallabhbhai Patel's son and daughter, represented Swatantra Party in the Parliament. My years in Parliament were further enriched by the wisdom of P.V. Narasimha Rao, oration of Atal Bihari Vajpayee, cryptic one-liners of Muthulimai and Dr. Nathpai, wit and humor of Piru Modi, poetic discourses of Professor Hiren Mukherjee, a research repartee of Indrajit Gupta, coming presence of Dr. Manmohan Singh, mature advice of L.K. Advani, and passionate support of Sonia Gandhi for social legislations. Fellow members, my career as a parliamentarian was no doubt mentored by Srimati Indira Gandhi. Her steely determination, clarity of thought, and decisive actions made her a towering personality. She never hesitated to call a spade a spade. I remember after the defeat of Congress and herself in the post-emergency election, we had gone to London in November 1978. A large number of media persons in a fairly aggressive mood were waiting to ask Srimati Gandhi questions. The first question that was flung at her was, I quote, "What have been your gains from the emergency?" Unquote. Looking at the journalist squarely in the eye, in a level voice, Indira Gandhi replied, "In those 21 months, we comprehensively managed to alienate all sections of Indian people." There was a broad silence for a moment, followed by huge laughter, and thereafter there was no question in the waiting room of Heathrow Airport, and the media persons just melted away. And I also learned an early lesson of acknowledging my mistakes and rectifying them. Self-correction in such situation is always a better option than self-justification. Honorable members, in those days, both houses of the Parliament used to reverberate with animated discussions and illuminative and exhaustive debates on social and financial legislations. Listening to the stalwarts for hours and days in Parliament, sitting in the Treasury or opposition benches, I felt one with the soul of this living institution, understood the real value of debate, discussion and dissent. I realized how disruption hurts the opposition more than the government, as it denies them the opportunity to raise the concerns of the people. I internalized the sense of what Pandit Jawaharlal Nehru had said, and I quote, "There has always to be a balancing of change and continuity. The system of parliamentary democracy embodies these principles of change and continuity, and it is up to those who functions in this system, members of the House and the numerous others who are part of this system, to increase the pace of change, to make it as fast as they like, subject to the principle of continuity. If continuity is broken, we become rootless and the system of parliamentary democracy breaks down." Unquote. Honorable members, I experienced the joy of the enactment of pro-poor and pro-farmer legislations. The recent passage of goods and service tax and its launch on 1st July is a shining example of cooperative federalism and speaks volumes for the maturity of Indian Parliament. To be a part of this system is a unique experience, and I am grateful to the people of this great country for giving me this opportunity. I had the privilege of being a witness and a participant in the unfolding scenario of emergence of a great India, an India where 130 crore people belonging to three major ethnic groups, Aryans, Dravidians, Mongolites, practicing 7 major religions and 122 languages in the daily lives, live yet under one constitution, one flag and one administrative system. Honorable members, not a single part of this vast territory of 3.3 million square kilometers of landmass and islands is unrepresented in the Parliament. 543 persons from 543 territorial constituencies of this country representing the people in Lok Sabha and 245 persons elected by 29 states and union territories, including 12 nominated members by President, make laws, scrutinize orders of the executive and enforce accountability to protect the interests of the people. Each of these 790 voices is important. It is unfortunate that parliamentary time devoted to legislations has been declining. With the heightened complexity of administration, legislation must be preceded by scrutiny and adequate discussion. Scrutiny in committee is no substitute to open discussion on the floor of the House. When the Parliament fails to discharge its lawmaking role or enacts laws without a discussion, I feel it breaches the trust reposed in it by the people of this great country. Through the instrument of ordinance, the executive has been vested with extraordinary powers to make laws to meet exigencies during a time when Parliament is not in session. However, such ordinances have to be approved by Parliament within 6 weeks from the next session of the Parliament. I am firm in the opinion that the ordinance route should be used only in compelling circumstances, and there should be no recourse to ordinance on monetary matters. Ordinance routes should not be taken on matters which are being considered or have been introduced in the House or a committee of the House. If a matter is deemed urgent, the concerned committee should be made aware of the situation and should be mandated to present its report within the stipulated time. If a matter is deemed urgent, the concerned committee should be made aware of the situation and should be mandated to present its report within the stipulated time. Honorable members, it was in July 2012 again, my membership in Lok Sabha came to an end when I was declared elected as the 13th President of the Republic on 22nd of that month. Even though 37 years of my life in Parliament came to an end on that day, but still I continued to have a tenacious link with the institution. In fact, I became an integral part of it as President of the Republic. As per Constitution, Article 79 of the Constitution says, there shall be a President for the Union which shall consist of the President and the two Houses to be known respectively as the Council of States and the House of People. In these 5 years, my principal responsibility was to function as the guardian of the Constitution. As I had said on oath, I strived to preserve, protect and defend our Constitution, not just in word but also in spirit. In this task, I greatly benefited from the advice and cooperation extended by Prime Minister Shri Narendra Modi at every stage. With passion and energy, he is driving transformational changes in the country, I will carry with me fond memories of our association and his warm and courteous behavior to me. As I retire from the office of the President of the Republic, my association with the Parliament also comes to an end. I will no longer be a part of the Parliament of India. It will be with a tinge of sadness and a rainbow of memories that I will be leaving this magnificent building today. Honorable members, with a sense of gratitude and a prayer in my heart, I take leave of you. I leave with a sense of fulfillment and happiness of having served the people of this great country through this institution as their humble servant. Thank you, ladies and gentlemen. Jai Hind.
माननीय गणमान्य व्यक्ति तथा प्रतिष्ठित अतिथिगण कृपया राष्ट्रगान के लिए खड़े हों। माननीय गणमान्य व्यक्ति चाय पान के लिए प्रांगण संख्या 9 की ओर प्रस्थान करें।
तो आप देख रहे हैं संसद भवन के केंद्रीय